So welcome everybody to Shifting Your Mindset. I'm really glad that you joined us, whether you're here live or watching on the replay. It's really nice to see you, and I hope you get something out of this. So I'd like to do a quick recap because this is a series. Last month's topic was the importance of feeling. We talked about how suppressing anger and other emotions harms our health. That emotion is meant to be in motion. Otherwise, it gets stored as pain and physical symptoms in our body. And that we can support our healing by feeling our feelings. We live in a society that's very good at conditioning us not to feel. So, learning to feel takes time. And if you struggle with this, you're not alone. Know that it gets easier. Be patient with your process and don't be hard on yourself. The practice I suggested was to pause and tune into the body when you notice your mood dip. Focus first on an area that feels pleasant, spending some time there to resource yourself. Then you can lean into the uncomfortable feeling or sensation. A reminder that it's a good idea to get support to feel more challenging emotions from, you can see a therapist or go to a 12-step group. Does anybody wish to share anything in the chat about either how the practice went for you or just whether you were able to turn towards your feelings a little bit more this month? What we're after are just small incremental steps forward. So every time you take a moment to feel what you're feeling instead of suppressing, it's really a cause for celebration. There's a lot of conditioning to undo. And so wherever you are on your feeling journey, you're doing it perfectly. Okay, so this month's focus is on surrender and trust. That's our topic. When it comes to myositis, surrender looks like acknowledging that we can't control the trajectory of our illness and trusting the divine plan for our lives. Before I get into the topic of surrendering around our illness, as promised, with Thanksgiving approaching for my American friends, Jessica and I thought it would be helpful to talk about this month's theme in relation to surviving the holidays, because that's such a struggle for many of us. Surrendering the things we can't control, like our family, helps us to keep our sanity in times like this. How many of you have noticed that it's easy to get triggered by family dynamics when you spend time with family and you can revert to old childhood patterns? I know that happens for me. My parents, when I see them, they seem more interested in talking to my partner than they do to me. My dad seems really comfortable around Stephen, and my mom cozies up to him for a chat. And it's possible that she's doing this because, she thinks that this will make him stay around to take care of her daughter, knowing that I have a disability and that I need support. So she could be doing this for me. But even so, I often feel left out and sad and less important. And that's a trigger for me because it's how I used to feel as a child around my sister. So when this happens, I remind myself that I'm no longer a kid and that I'm worthy, even when my parents seem more interested in Stephen, and that it's okay to be me. I'm lovable and enough just as I am. And shifting my mindset helps me to feel grateful that my parents get along with my partner because it makes it easier to visit and for us to spend time together. And I don't know how long they'll be around. They're in their 80s. And so these times really are precious. And so I focus on the ways my parents do show me love. And, they give me warm eye contact. And my mom, in the last couple of years, has been making me gluten-free desserts, knowing that I have dietary restrictions. And so that really makes me feel included. And so that's one of my family dynamics that I find challenging. And I'm sure each of you has your own that is stirred up during the holidays. So let's prepare some strategies to help you get the self care that you need and quickly shift your mindset when your family is driving you nuts or you're feeling drained by all of the energy from all the people that are around. You could escape to your car, to the bathroom to take a few breaths, or say a prayer, or text a friend. Maybe you take your phone and your earbuds with you and you listen to some calming music or do a short guided meditation. There's lots of those on Insight Timer. Or if it's really intense, maybe you just want to go out for a walk and take 15 minutes and come back, and just that fresh air and the movement of your body can help you re-regulate. Really remembering that these are your holidays too, and your well-being is most important. So it's good to prepare and expect to have some upsets and plan these tools ahead of time. So in a few minutes, I'm going to give you a couple of techniques and we're going to practice those together so that you have something ready. And in the meantime, we'll just have a discussion here, and you may have to step away a few times to get through the visit with your family. And so if you feel strange or you think your family is wondering, why does she keep leaving? Why does he keep leaving? Think of it like this. We don't give people a hard time when they take smoke breaks. And so what is wrong with taking a few minutes to recharge? You don't need to explain yourself, but if you want to, you can say, hey, mom or dad, sometimes I feel overwhelmed during the holidays and it helps me to take a reset break. Or, hey, you know how smokers are grumpy when they need a smoke and are happy when they come back from their nicotine fix? I've decided I'm not going to take up smoking, but I'm going to take a reset break every time, I need that. And this will be good for all of us because I'll come back much happier. So that should answer any concerns or questions that they have. Lori, I see you have a question.
Oh, just a comment. Sometimes what I find helpful is to actually set up what I need first. To say, for example, we're going to meet together, but I may need to, for example, take a break. I may need to, whatever those needs are, but to set the expectations ahead of time rather than trying to do it right in the midst of the activities, because then there might be a sense of feeling pressure to have to explain yourself or to how do I bow out gently? But you could actually say, oh, my disease can be very fatiguing. And so sometimes what I need to do is X or Y or Z. And so letting the people that, if you're visiting people or if people are visiting you, to set that expectation up ahead of time. So it doesn't
Yes,
come as an abrupt, like, oh, well, why are you doing this now?
I love that.
And I think just being clear helps to not create misunderstandings, because somebody
Yes.
might misunderstand that and go, oh, she's upset because X or Y or Z. But instead to set up the parameters in advance to say, this is how I can participate, but it takes, more effort for me, or I need breaks or whatever. And that way it makes it easier for you to do that because that person already understands, or that group of people already understand ahead of time.
Yes. And it reduces your anxiety because the first time you go to take that break, you may feel like, oh no, how are they going to respond? Are they going to be taking this personally? right? Are they going to get into their stories about what is this about? And so you've already eased the anxiety for yourself by voicing, hey, this is what I might do, or this is what I probably will do. And you're educating them about your illness. And I find that family needs to be frequently reminded that, yeah, my energy capacity is lower and I have different needs. And so this is not about me not enjoying myself here. It's really about taking care of myself. And families, even when we don't get along well, there's generally love that's under all of it, and they want you to take care of yourself. So I think that's such a great practice and way of doing this. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Does anybody want to write in the chat about what are some things that may trigger you over the holidays? Because it's good to think ahead of time. Um, like Lori suggesting about planning ahead. Like, what are the things that I might be triggered by so that you can then come up with, or maybe we can do it together, come up with strategies to mitigate those. So, maybe it's something like at this time of year, there's all of these cheesy commercials and Hallmark specials and Christmas movies, which they will often show the ideal family and people really getting along. And that could be triggering if your family's not like that, if there's some dysfunction, or if you've had loss recently. Um, and, I know that that can be challenging, but if you can surrender expectations and just realize that there's no perfect holiday, that that's just a fantasy. Many people have a different experience, and plan to find whatever enjoyment you can. Sometimes that can help. Okay, so somebody's having a conversation to let them know that they're not going to be able to work. I imagine that's to let them know they can't participate, maybe in the preparations. I'm not sure. But setting expectations is what I hear. And yeah, that's a great idea. Planning outfits ahead of time takes extra time in the morning if the event is in the afternoon, or same for the evening. Yeah, that's great. Anything to reduce the anxiety and preparation, letting go of worrying, but also planning to have an honest discussion about not being able to work. It can also be helpful to maintain some of your routine. It's tempting when things get busy to just let go of stuff that's important for your self-care, like exercise or meditation or even connecting with a friend. When we get busy, it's one of the first things we drop is our connections with people who can really help us remember our inherent worth and why we're lovable, and that could be so regulating. So whatever you can do, even if you have to reduce the time to maintain some of your routine, it can be really helpful and grounding. Yes, offering to bring paper products if needed instead of cooking or sodas, etc., something already made. Absolutely. So whatever you can do to reduce your preparation, whether that's potluck, asking people to bring everything if you're the one hosting, or just doing what you can if you're asked to bring something that's easy. Some of you may have lost loved ones this year, and coping with that can be really challenging. And you may want to form a new tradition so that you're not continually reminded that this person isn't there. Someone else is writing, trying to plan and get things done ahead of time does help. Just doing everything in small amounts rather than all the same day. Yes. Making a checklist ahead of time, I find helps, or planning, planning the day, whether it's my partner and I that are making the food and hosting, planning what can I do in the days leading up, and what is the easiest meal to put on. That's what I've been doing in the last few years, really not doing anything elaborate. Okay, but we're going to move on. And this is a tool that you can definitely take away with you to use before or after stressful events. So the vagus nerve is part of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our rest and digest response, that the body helps the body to calm down after a stressful event. It sends signals from the brain to the heart and our other organs to promote relaxation and digestion. And there's many ways to stimulate the vagus nerve. We can do deep breathing, humming, I like to do, or singing, meditation, massage, listening to calm music. All of these things can help. And this month's practice will help you stimulate the vagus nerve and actually really, you'll find that's really easy and quick to do. And it'll bring you into a calm, regulated state of being. So you can do these before or after any stressful activity. You can slip out, during your holiday gathering, slip out to the bathroom and do these. You can even actually do these in front of people and they might not notice. They likely won't. So I find them really convenient. So imagine yourself over the holidays. You've already set the expectations that you might need to take a reset break because of your illness, that you need that time um, to manage yourself and reduce your stress level. So imagine going to the bathroom and maybe turning on the faucet and sitting on the toilet and doing this to the sound of running water. So I do both of these several times a day, and they just take a minute or so, and I notice an immediate shift. So feel free to take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to explain each practice for you, and then I'll guide you through, and we'll do it together. So for the vagus nerve reset, we use specific positioning of the eyes and the head to send body messages of safety to the brain. Once the brain receives and believes that we're truly safe, it will relax in the form of a yawn or a sigh or a swallow. And sometimes you'll find that you have a lot of saliva in your mouth, and so that's when you'll swallow. And these are all signs of being in a rest and digest state, and it'll leave you feeling more calm and centered. You'll be thinking more clearly often and more comfortable and grounded in your body. While you can do this exercise seated or even standing, it's easiest to do this one lying down or in a reclining position. So take a moment to get comfortable in whatever way you want to practice this one. We're going to do this together. So I'll just read you the instructions first, and then I'll guide you. So you're going to be interlacing your fingers behind the base of your skull, and just you'll settle into that position and place the attention where your hands and your skull meet. Your head is going to stay forward. Yep. And just your eyes are going to move. So you're going to move. You can close your eyes or you can do it with your eyes open. Doesn't matter. You're going to move your eyes to the 3 o'clock position. And you're going to stay there and wait for one of three things to happen. You're either going to just impulsively feel like you want to yawn or sigh or swallow. And those are all signs that you're in a relaxed state. And at that point, you can repeat it, you can stop, or you can move your eyes to the 9 o'clock position on the other side, and you'll probably notice the same thing happen again as you'll swallow or your yawn. And so this can take anywhere from 30 seconds or a few seconds actually, to a minute or two in order to notice that response. And so for the first few times that you do it, it is easier when you're lying down. You'll find it easier to get into that relaxed state. Now, if your arms don't give you that full range of motion behind your head, if you have difficulties moving your arms, you can prop your arms up over pillows or just have them down by your side. It's not crucial that you're able to touch the base of your skull. That's really more just to help you feel grounded and settle into the space, but you don't need to do that. And you'll find that the more often you do this, the quicker it'll happen for you, the quicker you'll be able to relax. Okay, so you're ready to do it together. So everybody, if you can either interlace your fingers behind your skull or have your arms down by your side if that's too difficult for you. Just settle. Take a second to just feel that. Feel the connection between your fingers and your skull. And now with your head forward, you're going to move your eyes to 3 o'clock. And you're going to wait until you feel a natural impulse to yawn or swallow or sigh. I'm just going to give us 30 seconds to hang out here, a little bit longer, so that you can feel that. And there's no rush. Your body will take the time that it needs. Mm. And now once you've felt that release, you can stop, you can shift your eyes into the other direction, and you can repeat this anytime during this discussion today. Anytime you feel you need to get back into your body and into a more relaxed state, you can do this. So how many were able to experience that? Either the son, the sigh, or the yawn. We did that for a little under a minute. Okay, well, hopefully you were. And the next one that we're going to do is the relaxing 478 breath. And I'm sure that you've heard about this one or maybe done this. It's a quite a common one. So for this, you're going to be sitting up straight. This helps you to breathe into your belly, which stimulates your vagus nerve. And you're going to first exhale all the stale air from your lungs. And then we're going to inhale through the nose for 4, and I'll count with you. Hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. We'll do 4 rounds of this, and then after you can just notice how you feel. Okay, so when you're ready, sit up straight. Exhale all the air from your lungs. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last round. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. Let your breathing return to normal and just notice how you feel. Do you feel more slowed down, less in your thoughts, more in your body? You can feel free to write anything in the chat. So I see for the vagus nerve reset, people were feeling that. That's great. Sighing multiple times, yes. And each time you do, you just get more and more grounded and relaxed. Yes, it is normal to struggle with holding your breath and exhaling. I purposely counted fast because I noticed that I need to, especially when I'm first beginning that practice, if I'm in a bit of anxiety, that I can't hold my breath long. So you can go as fast as you need to if you need to count even faster than I did. Or if you need to stop before 4 rounds, you're not trying to exhaust yourself. You're just really doing it at your comfort level. And if you have breathing difficulties, then that might be more challenging for you to do that exercise. So you might want to stick with the first one, the vagus nerve reset, because that's really effective and very quick. So there you've got a couple of tools that you can take with you and hopefully will make your holidays a little bit easier to manage. There are many ways to stimulate the vagus nerve. So really just pick one that feels comfortable for you. And the more often you can do it, the more resilience you'll have in being able to shift out of fight or flight or stress mode and into a more relaxed state of being where you'll feel better. It's better for your disease as well. Your symptoms will not flare as dramatically when you're able to be in that rest phase. So 2 months from now, we're going to be doing a unit on the nervous system. And so we'll be talking a lot more about tools for that. And really, the nervous system is a lot about stimulating your vagus nerve. So this is just a little teaser because it's the holidays and I wanted to give you something that was quick and easy to do. Getting back into just the theme of illness and disability. And so I wanted to share about what I've noticed about surrender and trust around my illness. I blamed my lack of recovery on bad habits, and I still fall into this trap. So currently, it's around exercise, that I'm not doing enough, and diet, that I'm not taking proper care of my digestion so my body can absorb the nutrients it needs. And this is linked to a story that I've been in a lot this week, which is I should be able to fix this. Like I should be able to fix polymyositis. So on Sunday, I visited my parents, and my mom asked me what my current challenges are because it's been 3 months since I fractured my hip. I was glad she asked, like it felt good that she was curious. But I told her, I'm not able to access the community independently or do stairs right now. And even though these are my parents, I noticed that I felt shame about where I'm at, like I'm doing something wrong. And so this is just a reminder that these stories that we talked about in month 1, like I should be able to fix this, they don't go away. We just learn to see them with awareness and to be able to shift our perception when we notice them. So thinking I should be able to fix this problem is distorted thinking. My illness just is, and I don't heal myself. God heals me. This is my belief, if or when that's part of my plan. So thinking that I was in control, it made me miserable because I felt like a failure. And I had to fail to get rid of polymyositis over and over again to realize I am not in control of the outcome, that it is beyond me. And so that helped me make the decision to let go. And now I choose to trust that it's part of my divine plan. There's a reason that I have this illness, at least for now. So while we can do all the things, we can do the medication, the physical therapy, diet, rest, noticing our stories, feeling our feelings. Surrender is acknowledging that we can't control the trajectory of our illness and whether we'll go into remission. So what do? We can focus on what we can influence. And that's, how we take care of ourselves. If you're like me, exercising can feel discouraging sometimes because of the continual decline. But one thing for certain, I'm accepting that if I stop exercising altogether, my rate of decline will definitely accelerate. And so my actions are, they have an impact, but I know now that I'm ultimately not in control of the disease process or the trajectory or whether I go into remission. So we do what we can do and we surrender the rest to a loving force that is greater than us. Now, what if you're not spiritual, you're not religious, you don't believe in God? Who or what are you surrendering to? What does a loving force greater than you mean? So if you go to any 12-step programs, we learn that we each define the God of our understanding. And so whatever makes you feel expanded and connected to something beyond yourself, that's really what we're looking for here. So a loving presence could be nature. Think of how you feel when you go out and you walk in woods like that, or just take a breath of fresh air, or walk around your neighborhood. It could be your cat. Stroking your cat can just bring you into that sense of connection with another living being that can really restore you. It could be the universe or your breath. It could be your community. That could be the support groups that you attend with myositis support and understanding, or love, or just life itself. Anybody like to contribute in the chat? What makes you feel connected to something beyond yourself? The universe. Yeah. Yeah, that's me too. I'll often say that. What about when you're in pain or your symptoms are flaring and you're losing hope? How do you surrender then and trust that everything will be okay? So we can return to month one. Our practice was to come back to presence through sound and breath when stories arise. And that was just the simple practice of listening to the first 10 sounds that you hear and noticing how that can calm you and help you to feel connected. It could be reaching out for support to your MSU community. And think, are there any support groups that you're currently not utilizing? Because you're not holding this alone. We're all in this together. And that's why we come here. Does anybody have any other ideas? Okay, someone's saying the volunteer work they do with MSU. Yeah, helps you to know that you can help somebody else. Oh, I think that is so valuable when you can contribute to someone else. It gets you out of your own suffering, doesn't it? Whether that's your stories or your drama, your anxiety, or your physical pain. Being able to contribute, it can really bring us back into our purpose, into our light, and reduce those symptoms temporarily. It's like medication, produces those feel-good hormones, which can relieve pain. I find that prayer really helps me. It just gives me this immediate sense of peace. About a year and a half ago, I was terrified of my disease progression and about being confined, the possibility of being confined to a wheelchair. So I want to read you the prayer that I wrote. This was June 18th, 2023. And we'll just let you know where I was at that time. God, if you want me to lose my independence and end up in a wheelchair, if it's part of my contribution and divine purpose, I'm willing. Just please give me the support to accept it with grace, to move out of fear. Sorry about that. Fire smoke detector here. To move out of fear and live with peace, ease, and joy at the same time. Help me to model how to live in peace and joy, even in a body that has compromised mobility. Help me to accept and love my body as it is, to be grateful for all the ways it supports me, and to nourish it with what it needs, the food and water it's calling for, rest, exercise, movement, joy, laughter, and play. And so I'm pleased to say that a lot of those things have materialized for me, and I'm living in much more peace with my body and the compromised mobility that I have. And it's not easy sometimes, but I think the practice of prayer and surrender and knowing that I'm not holding it alone has been helpful for me. And I believe there's many stages of surrender and prayer. And so there's no doing it wrong. In the beginning, it might look like, God, take this from me. I can't handle this. Why me? Why is this happening to me? And you may feel like a victim when you say this, but say it anyway. I believe that it's still heard and held with love and care, and that it's helping to bring you along the path of where you need to be to move out of the experience of suffering. You're not accustomed to praying, or you feel that God has been ignoring you because of all the suffering that you've been through with your illness, you may not be sure where to start and what you can pray for. So you can pray for greater ease with your experience, for relief from pain and suffering, or for your fear to be taken from you and replaced with trust. Or maybe you just want to pray for support to feel less alone. Here's a couple of prayers that you can borrow, and you can substitute the word God for universe, love, or whatever makes you feel expanded. God, I give to you all that I am and all that I will be for your healing and direction. Make new this day as I release all my worries and fears, knowing that you are by my side. I say this one out loud each morning. I find it powerful to say prayers out loud. And I actually list out all of the fears that I'm holding in that moment, anything that I'm worried about. And I imagine handing it over. And then I can let it go for the day and just see how the day unfolds. Or if you just need a quick and easy one to remember when you're in pain or you're feeling afraid or hopeless, you can simply say, show me how to be with this in more peace. So feel free to take a picture of this, if you want to have this ready when you need it. And somebody's resonating with prayer and gratitude. Yeah. Okay. After you've handed it over to a force greater than you because it's too much to cope with alone, now what do? This is where trust comes in. So, what brings me comfort is to trust that it's part of the divine plan. That's what I believe. That while I may not understand why, there is a reason that I've been given this illness. And when I feel hopeless and discouraged around my symptoms, it helps me to know I'm being guided and I'll never be given more than I can handle. I feel comforted when I can trust that I'm being taken care of and that my needs will be met. And so there's really no need to fear. I just take after a look after today and take care of myself in the best way that I know how and ask for support when I'm struggling. But don't take this from me. You can test this out for yourself. The next time you're struggling, an easy prayer is just name what's happening for you and ask for what you need. So maybe it's, I'm feeling lonely and I need support. Please bring me a friend today. Or I'm feeling scared and discouraged. Please bring me reassurance and help me trust that I don't need to fear what's happening to my body. And then just let go and see what shows up in answer to your prayer. Two-way prayer is a resource that can help make this a more natural process for you. If you've not heard of that, it's a 15-minute journaling practice that you can do in the morning to help you tap into universal guidance and support, and to just trust that you are being held and you are being guided. And finally, a couple of mantras that can help you to surrender. All is well. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, or this wouldn't be happening. And how is this happening for me? One of the gifts of polymyositis for me is that it's teaching me to trust. And this is really significant because I used to be, and still am in many ways, a control freak. About a year and a half ago, I went to Portland. And after the workshop that I was attending, I wanted to drive to the ocean, which was about 5 hours west, to see Haystack Rock, which is this famous big rock that's sitting in the ocean. You can see a glimpse of it there. But the drive, takes this mountain or takes this road through the forest, and it's pretty remote. And so I was afraid of running out of water or not having a place to go pee. And so, being the control freak that I was, I dehydrated myself. I took some water with me, but I didn't even drink it all because I was worried about running out or not having a place to go to the bathroom. And lo and behold, halfway there, I see this natural spring water place that you can stop and fill up. And also, a place where I could have just gone pee easily in the woods. So here I was, depriving myself of the water that I needed, worrying unnecessarily. And the universe was showing me I didn't need to do that and that my needs would have been met. So this was a really good lesson that day. And then it just continued. When I got to the ocean, Haystack Rock is 235 feet above the beach. So you can see the beginning of the steps there, and it's this long way down. At that time, I was able to go downstairs. I just had to turn sideways and hold on to the railing and do it really, really slowly and carefully. And when I did that, I was accustomed to looking behind me and ushering anybody forward, letting them know that I move slowly and please go ahead. And so I turned to my left, and what do I see? Two other women who are also sidestepping down the stairs. And I'd never seen that before. I was the only one who I'd ever encountered who did that. And so it turns out one of them was recovering from knee surgery, and I'm not sure about the other one. But I just felt like, oh, wow, I'm not alone. So I continue down the steps, and then I get closer to the beach and I notice there's these huge boulders. And I think, oh, now what? I can't navigate those. I don't have the strength in my thighs or the stability. I'm gonna fall. I can't do it. And so in the past, I would have given up at that point. I would have gone back up the steps, but I turned to my new disabled friends and I told them, hey, we got a challenge here and I don't know how I'm going to navigate this. And the one who was just recovering from knee surgery, she said, no problem, I can help us get down. And she did. And and so then, I was tempted to cling on to these ladies thinking, okay, I got down, but how am I going to get back up after? But I noticed that, they wanted to go off on their own. And I thought, I got to just let go and trust. So I went about and enjoyed my walk along the beach and took some pictures. And it was raining a little bit. So after about a half an hour, I was ready to go. I still didn't know how I was going to get back up. So you'll see on the right there, there's a picture of the houses along the beach. And some of them had these inclines up their property. And so I thought, okay, maybe I can trespass. Like there was no trespassing signs, but maybe I can walk up one of their ramps. Um, and I tried that, but it was slippery, with the rain. There was no railing to hold on to. I thought, no, this is dangerous. I'm going to definitely fall. So I went back to the beach and I thought, I got to trust, like there's a way. And so I kept walking and looking ahead, and there's this person walking towards me, and she just had this light about her. And she approached me and she says, "Hey, do you know where the steps are? Like, I don't know how to get back up." And I said, "I know where the steps are, but I can't get back up. I have a disability." She said, "No problem. I'll help you. I'm a guide." So this was just like a miracle to me. Right when I needed it, there's somebody that is a guide and she's willing to help me back up, and we're helping each other. I'm helping her find her way. And so she got me up with no problem. So, what I learned from this day is that God is always guiding me, and I don't have to live such a small, fearful life because of my limited mobility. That when I want to do something, if I have the desire to go to the ocean, for example, and see Haystack Rock, that I'm going to be supported with the help that I need. I just need to stay open to the help and guidance instead of closing down in fear. If I hadn't decided to trust that I was going to get back up those rocks, I would have probably been walking, looking down at the beach, stuck in my stories that, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is really scary. I shouldn't have come down. But I didn't. I was trusting, I was looking outwards, and then I see this woman walking towards me with this glow about her. So I'm learning, I'm learning to trust. And every time that I freak out, like I did on that day many times, it's helpful for me to look in the rear view mirror to see how my needs were met and that there really wasn't anything actually to be afraid of. So let's do an exercise now to help you develop a practice where you can cultivate more trust in your life. And this will be the last thing that we do today. So grab a journal or something to write on, or you can just do this, on your phone or in the chat. And now I want you to think back to a time where you were afraid to do something because you were convinced it wouldn't work out. Reflect on what actually happened. Did it turn out better than expected? So get out your journal, and I'm going to have you reflect on these questions and see if you can come up with 3 examples of when something turned out better than expected. So, for example, on my drive to the ocean, I was worried about running out of water and not finding a place to go to the bathroom. And what actually happened was I saw a place where I could get some spring water and relieve myself. And so what I learned was there really is nothing to fear and that I can trust that my needs will be met. So I'm going to play a song and just give you, it's about 2.5 minutes to do this exercise. So again, I'm asking you to think of 3 examples in your life where things turned out better than expected, where you were afraid of something not working out, and then you're noticing what actually happened and what you learned from that. So this is a practice that you can do on your own. You've started it today, and if you write down those 3 questions or take a picture of this, you can build your own journal. And this can be really helpful to build that muscle of trust because it is a muscle. I find that I need lots of evidence in order to let go and trust, to move from that place of control where I've been all of my life into letting go and allowing myself to be supported and guided. Somebody's writing that generally what they fear either does not come about or is very minimal. And that's my experience too, that my mind likes to exaggerate everything. That's going to be the worst possible scenario. It's going to be horrible. And then it's either really minor or I'm delightfully surprised by something magical happening. And so this is really good to notice. That's why I encourage you to really take note of these because our minds have such a fixation on problems and things not working out and what is negative and what we need to avoid. And so we can start remembering and recording what is actually working out for us, it starts to reprogram us and shift us into looking for more evidence that we're being supported. Okay. So thank you everyone for coming and for your participation. I think we're good. So I'm going to end it here.